I'd say the first couple of months, it was like we didn't have the money to fill the space and we didn't have the inventory as well until we kind of got set up with the Costco thing. But
So the guy you were buying couches from 4 or 5 at a time, he had this contract with Costco through B-Stock where he would get all of their return inventory in Colorado area.
I think it would have just been too much with taking everything and cleaning, listing, doing all of that. That's why I kind of think he went the wholesale route with them.
Then you start taking them off the pallets, you're processing them, whether that's, doing repairs, cleaning, taking photos, that's kind of your processing area.
It's been driving me crazy. People ask so many questions, they want pictures of everything, and I'm not going to take the time to do that to 50 people a day. So I just kind of tell them you have to come in store and check them out. But
let's say you're selling 100 couches a month and you're able to sell a rug 60% of the time and you're making $50 gross profit on each rug. Welcome back to the Couch Pod. Today, we have two absolute titans of the flipping game, the Stephenson Brothers out in Colorado Springs. These guys are operating at a level that most flippers dream about. They've got a 12,000 square foot warehouse. They're crushing it with foot traffic. They've dialed in the drop group model. They even have an exclusive relationship with B-Stock for some of their liquidation opportunities, which is practically a cheat code for inventory. If you're trying to scale from garage flipper to full-scale business, this episode is going to be a masterclass. Gentlemen, welcome to the Couch Pod.
Cool. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
So take us back. You two are brothers. How did you get into business together? How did you go from flipping a few couches to needing a 12,000 square foot warehouse?
So pretty much we heard about couch flipping from a buddy of ours. He came and stayed with us for a bit and he wanted to start his own couch flipping thing. We put a little money in. We bought a van for him. He was going to pay us back for the van with his couch flipping profits. And then it kind of went a little south with him. He had a little bit of mental issues. And so we had to kind of kick him out, couldn't live with us anymore. And so we were kind of stuck with a van that we had paid for, got nothing for it. And then just a bunch of couches just piled up in our garage. And we're like, all right, list them on Marketplace, start selling them. And yeah, like I've noticed other guys mention in the podcast, like you get that first sale and you're like, holy crap, there's some money into this. And, that's kind of where it started for us. Then just picking up as much as we can, started in the garage, got one storage unit. We were lucky enough to have a storage unit placed right by our house, and then 2 storage units, 3 storage units up until really our first warehouse. But yeah, that's kind of the baseline, kind of how we got started into it.
And so prior to moving into this warehouse, you were in like another, but kind of smaller warehouse.
Yeah, we were in, I think it was about 3,000 square feet. It was like a 2-level building. So it was kind of weird and L-shaped. So it was kind of weird to work out of, but it had a garage on both levels so we could get stuff in and out. That space was really allowed us to kind of level up per se. And basically for a while, I'd say the first couple of months, it was like we didn't have the money to fill the space and we didn't have the inventory as well until we kind of got set up with the Costco thing. But kind of after that first couple of months of getting set up there and doing a lot of flips, we really just kind of picked up our pace and basically just started overflowing it with inventory to the point where we ended up having to get a storage crate and start throwing couches in there.
It was a disaster working in that building. It was crazy. Just couches stacked everywhere. Yeah.
But it allowed us to have a ton of inventory. So
interesting. So you guys have been through quite the journey already. And oftentimes when you're growing a business, you have periods of incremental improvement or change and stepwise improvements or change. So the difference being like one day you're like going from 1 to 2 to 3, and the next you're going from 1 to 5 to 10, or even exponential in some cases. So what would you say were those moments in your business where things started to move in a stepwise function?
I'd say, kind of definitely when we started getting into the returns, for sure. We kind of met a guy who he was contracted with return department in Colorado. And so he was getting pretty much all the returns that in Colorado. And we were kind of buying from him. He was just wholesaling them to other flippers in the area. And we had a box truck at that point. So we'd go to Denver, pick up like 4 or 5 at a time and bring them back to our warehouse. And so that was a huge step up right there. We kind of started leaning away from the marketplace pickups, just because we could go get 4 or 5 at a time. They're good couches, usually better quality than the marketplace ones. A little more expensive, of course, but
less cleaning and work though as well, which was that's a big plus.
And just we can constantly get inventory whenever we want, really. A huge step.
Yep.
Got it. And so you came into that relationship when you were still in the smaller warehouse.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, we basically, after the guy ended up wanting to get away from doing the returns, and he franchised with Box Drop, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. But basically, he franchised with them and opened up a Box Drop store in Denver. And with that contract he had with him, he couldn't do the Costco thing. So he basically asked us, it's like, hey, you want to pay me? I'll set you up with the contract and buy the rest of the couches he had as well, which was, I don't know, 30 or so. It was a good amount. And so we jumped on that right away because we just kind of saw the opportunity there of how much inventory we could get in. And then at that point too, that was another, I'd say, stepping stone, because we went from, okay, now buying them 4 at a time from this guy, going to Denver to pick them up. Now it's like, okay, we just get them, we get our manifest and we get 10, 15 couches shipped to us directly. And it was a nightmare to unload, but luckily our building neighbor at that old location had a forklift. And so we'd pay him in beer to forklift our trucks. So he was very helpful in that sense.
Hopefully
Still
you gave him the beer.
Taking them.
Yeah, I was gonna say hopefully you gave him the beer after he forklifted, but
we buy him a lot of beer.
Sorry, you were saying I cut you off?
Oh, no, yeah, I was just saying it was still a huge process. He would fork them down onto the ground for us, but the building, it didn't have a loading dock or anything. So pretty much every single truckload, he'd bring it into the parking lot, and then we'd unpackage them, carry 10, 15 couches in at a time. And then it was like multiple rooms too. So we only had like one staging area. So it was just constant moving furniture through doorways and into the building. And I mean, it worked, but it was a hassle for sure.
Yeah. Very interesting. So in the old warehouse, I think it was 3,000 square feet. And so the guy you were buying couches from 4 or 5 at a time, he had this contract with Costco through B Stock where he would get all of their return inventory in Colorado area. And he wanted out of the business and he brokered the sale of that contract to you guys.
Exactly. Yep. And then, I mean, it wasn't technically his contract to sell, but he's like, well, I'll set you guys up with it and take the 20, 30 couches or whatever it was along with it. And so it ended up being a great deal. I think those couches paid for the whole setup itself, and then from there it was a much smoother process on getting a lot of inventory in at a time.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have really taken that opportunity and run with it, probably beyond what the guy was doing with it himself. Do you think there's a little bit of reticence or like regret on his part to give that up and see what was possible?
I don't know.
I don't really think so. It was hard for him because he was just a one-man operation, and so he couldn't really. I think it would have just been too much with taking everything and cleaning, listing, doing all of that. That's why I kind of think he went the wholesale route with them.
I don't think he really wanted to deal with the cleaning and that aspect that comes with selling returns. So I think it was just not, I just don't think it was for him. And so I think, yeah, like you said, that's why he probably wholesaled them, because he didn't want to clean them himself, which, I mean, I don't blame him. It's not a fun part of the job, but I think it worked out great for us. I think he's still doing well and he's a good guy. So
that's great. Yeah. Look, not everything is for everyone, right? And it's super important to know where you're at in your life, what work you're willing to do, what excites you. I was just doing a podcast with Nick Fontaine, and he's a young guy, has a ton of energy, great mindset, and he really enjoys what he does, right? And if couch flipping is not going to be that thing for you, it's better to admit it and move on to the thing that's going to be. And it seems like you guys have really taken to the task. So in another way, it's a great fit, right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you secured the contract, and then you made this decision to move into the 12,000 square foot warehouse. At what point did you realize that operating out of the 3,000 square foot place just wasn't going to cut it anymore?
When we didn't have space for a single couch in our building and our storage crate we had on there. At one point, we even had the guy who would forklift them for us. We held a few pallets in his building just because there was absolutely no way that we could fit another couch in our building.
Yeah. And the other part of it was just the financial side of things. We knew it was going to be a big jump. And so we were selling a lot of couches and our expenses were very low. So it allowed us to save up a lot of money to make the big jump. So it was probably 6 months of just absolutely miserable. It was working 7 days a week, and we were getting 2 to 3 truckloads in a week at that size of location, which it was just, it sucked because it would take us about a full day just to get that one load in the building. And then we'd go through it, clean, list, stage. So then we get another truck in, go through clean, list, stage, throw some in the crate, and then we'd get ready for open hours on the weekend, pump up our open hours, and we'd usually have to sell at least 10 in order to get the truckload that was coming the following week to fit it. So it was just that constant process of 6 months, but it allowed us to save up money to where when we moved into this warehouse, we were completely comfortable on a financial side to where we could fill this space now with inventory because it's much bigger, as well as it's just expensive. Paying first month security deposit, setup costs, moving stuff over, and now it was just hiring employees, and it's just expensive process. But working in that small location with low expenses, mainly just us two, some part-time work from a high school kid and his girlfriend here and there, but overall it allowed us to save a bunch of money.
Cool. So in the end, making the move and taking on the additional expenses were worth it.
Absolutely.
100%,
Yeah. Our lives are easier. We're selling more, and yeah, it's all around it's been better.
Other than the cost, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered moving into the bigger space, or maybe even something that was unexpected?
Hey flippers, are you still manually searching for deals or posting them on Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist? It's time to level up with Ivy Flip, the world's best app for resellers. With Ivy Flip, you can effortlessly source products from Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist, all from one convenient app. No more anxiety about missing a good deal. You'll receive notifications as soon as they're posted. Plus, with our cross-posting feature, you can post your listings to multiple marketplaces with a single click. And with our AI-powered scam detection, you won't waste time on fake listings. Stop wasting time with outdated methods. Embrace the tech that transforms your flipping game. Try Ivy Flip today and watch your profits soar. Click the link in the description and get a 1-week free trial of our app now.
I'd say
Organization for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You want to touch up on that?
Yeah. So this new building, we've only been in here, what, 3?
This is month 3.
Month 3?
Yep.
Yeah, so 3 months. And at first, it was just kind of a disaster. We didn't have a good process of, all right, we get the loads in, and they just kind of went everywhere, and we just tried to, deal with everything at once. But now we've at least kind of gotten in a good process to where all the ones on the pallet go to one side of the building, and we rope it off so customers don't try to pallet shop and stuff like that. But they're all kind of stacked good in one area of the building. And then we take it down couch by couch, take it down, clean it if it needs photos. And then we have a big display area too, which I think is huge, having as much as you can on display as possible. Because when people come in, they want to see everything you have, and so having as much on display and organized really just helps just the whole shopping experience for people.
Yep.
So from what you've described, it sounds like there's probably 4, like you've sectioned off the warehouse into like 4 areas or so. So first would be like items that are getting loaded in and are yet to be processed. So they're stacked up on pallets. This is the stuff that like needs to be worked on. Then you start taking them off the pallets, you're processing them, whether that's, doing repairs, cleaning, taking photos, that's kind of your processing area. And then as much space as possible is sort of your dedicated showroom where you can have all your couches laid out, people walking in. And then finally, it looks like you guys are in an office there. So have a little space to yourself. Is that about right?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It's kind of to lay it out. It's like the back of the warehouse. It's got a bunch of pallets on where we put our pallets. Our staging room where we take pictures is right in that corner. And then the cleaning room and kind of cleaning areas right to the left of it. So it's
kind of all just in the back.
Yeah, I'd say a quarter of the warehouse is that storage, processing, pictures, cleaning, and then rest stage. And then we got this office in the front, and then I guess we got a pool table room too, which is kind of nice. Just a fun room to have,
Hey, if you can't kick back and enjoy the fruits of your labor from time to time, like what's the point, right? That's why we're all in the game. So how do you manage all that inventory? Is it all couches or do you stock other furniture as well? Like what's the thought process there?
Yeah, it's majority couches, but we've been kind of expanding. We'll buy now smaller loads with like our recliners have been selling well. Our rugs, he can touch up on the rugs because that's a huge thing that's been selling crazy. And then dining sets, I'd say 80-90% couches. And then another 10 to 20% of other smaller dining stuff and things like that, which has actually worked out really well because we've had multiple customers lately come in. And then like one lady the other day she just bought a house, so she needed to furnish it. She bought 2 couches, a dining set, a table, a small like table and table set, like 4 rugs. Yeah. And I think that was about it. But it was like, it came out to a big ticket sale, a bunch of different items that we wouldn't have made that sale with all those items if we didn't have that inventory availability, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is such an interesting field of conversation in the couch flipping world, because I think the reason people flip couches is they tend to be the big money items, right? Like you can make 500, even $1,000 on a flip. And it's hard to extract that level of profit on a single dining room set or like a cabinet or something like that. And so people definitely index more on having couches. And I think that's fair. But at the same time, I do think there is opportunity in other categories of furniture. That's why they get manufactured to begin with, right? It's because these retailers are selling them. What do you think do you see yourself in the future moving to like, instead of 80-90% couches, maybe even going to like 60-70 and incorporating other kinds of furniture? If so, why or why not?
I think think, I don't know. I kind of like how we have it right now, just because, yeah, everyone likes the couches, big money maker, but it's still nice having those other small stuff too. So I kind of like having the 80% couches, and then just kind of a random, maybe a few dining sets, a couple fireplaces, stuff like that. I think
Rug selection.
Yeah, large rug selection. We've really been liking the rugs recently, but yeah, probably stay with kind of how it is. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think the rugs are super smart, by the way. To me, it's like a space to like price and cost. There's some formula there, right? Like that probably makes rugs extremely efficient. Like if you could get a rug for like 50 to $100, like a good quality rug can resell for hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, like antique rugs, like we're talking thousands of dollars. I don't think you're probably quite in that category of rugs that you're buying and selling, right? But and then they roll up or they stack up like very nicely. They take up little space. And it seems like the rugs are pretty complementary to a couch. What has your experience been with that?
We've been really liking them and we kind of stay with the same mindset of how we do our couches. We want them volume. We want them great price, and we want to sell, as many couch, as we can. Yeah, rug with every couch. And then, so yeah, we get them extremely cheap, and they come in usually great condition. Sometimes we'll have to, do a slight vacuum or steam clean, which right now we're kind of figuring out the process, because in the pallets they come in like 1,000-pound pallets, and so it's been a little bit tricky how to display them without just kind of cramming them all into one corner and then just taking a picture. So we're talking to a welder. Hopefully he'll weld us a big rug rack. Would be huge, so then it's like it takes up only a tiny space in our warehouse. People can flip through them, and it would help me for my listings, because I get on rugs average, I've been getting about like 50 messages a day on our rugs, and it's been driving me crazy. People ask so many questions. They want pictures of everything, and I'm not going to take the time to do that to 50 people a day. So I just kind of tell them you have to come in store and check them out. But if we had a good display, which hopefully, within a week or two we will, then Friday. Then I think the rugs will really start to take off. And one of the huge aspects I like about them too is when we're kind of selling them as cheap as we are, and with the photos of the multiple rugs, like I said, I get insane amounts of messages. And so I'm just sending them, it's just more people finding about our business, sending them to the Facebook group, which I really like, because as soon as they're in the group, they're kind of, you're locked into their feed. And so, yeah, just spreading the word of the business. And then, we've had people, they come in to buy a $50, $65 rug, and they end up walking out with the rug and a $1,000 couch. And so, yeah, just spreading the word. There's so many people who come in and they really like our business. But yeah, it's just great to, spread the word of the business and everything like that.
Yeah. And another point that I would just touch up on there is they're easy upsales, because we price them so low for what the quality, and like we're pricing our 8x10s around like $65, which we usually make about $50 per rug on that. And it's good margins for us, and it's great prices for people, because you can't really find that anywhere else. And so it's like when we sell a couch and people see our rugs, they always at least look through them at a minimum. But I'd say 60 to 70% of people who buy a couch just end up buying a rug too, because they go so well together, it's not a big cost compared to that $1,000 couch or whatever.
Right. It's like sales tax at that level, right? Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible attach rate if you're selling a rug on 60, 70% of your purchases, right? So let's say you're selling 100 couches a month, and you're able to sell a rug 60% of the time, and you're making $50 gross profit on each rug. That's $3,000 in revenue that you're slapping onto your business right there, and that's a gross profit too. So I think especially as you start to scale, it's important to find like these little avenues for opportunity, because over time it adds up to quite a bit, like 3,000 over the years, an extra $36,000 in gross profit. And then let's say you have like additional services like delivery or warranties, which I know some people are dabbling in. That could be in another $3,000, $5,000 in revenue for the business, per month, et cetera. And all these little things add up over time. Now, when you're marketing the rugs, do you find that people are coming to you exclusively just because they want that rug, or is it mostly just an upsell that you're doing?
We'll get a good amount of customers that come in that are just looking for rugs specifically, but we don't mind that, because we'll still sell them a rug, of course. And then it's just one more person that knows about our business that ideally tells someone else about it, or if anything comes back in the future for a couch or a dining table or whatever,
Cool. And how do you guys keep inventory moving quickly so you're not just like sitting on dead stock? Because you're getting truckloads every month, right? And so I imagine you want to turn it over quickly.
Yeah.
We kind of the marketing guy.
Yeah, so really obviously always posting to Marketplace, but I kind of have a set thing I do with my group. It's usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a lot of times Monday too. I'll do drops of 4 couches at a time, and then I'll do a picture or a video of the entire warehouse on Friday, and then a lot of our sales come on the weekend. We only do open hours Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We still offer appointments, but I really hype up those weekend hours, and I just get as many couches in the group as possible, and photos and videos, tagging everyone, of course, just kind of really showing the inventory. And then a lot of people, then they'll just come on the weekend and we'll have a crazy busy weekend. There's usually always a customer in store on the weekends, especially Saturday. That's our best day for sure. But between that and then I always just go through my listings about every day and just kind of make sure everything's listed. And if I need to renew the listing, maybe swap it to another account. If it's, if I notice, oh, this one's being a little slow, I'm trying to tighten up that process, especially now that we're really, really using Ivy Flip and Listing Manager with that, and trying to tighten up that process of, all right, if this has been sat for, a certain amount of days, we get it listed and I can kind of keep that in track, but still quite haven't gotten that perfect system figured out.
What percentage of your sales would you say comes directly from responses on marketplace listings? Like, hey, I saw this couch, I want to buy it, versus your drop group versus foot traffic in your store? And I imagine those are the 3 main channels for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard to ask everyone where they came from. And especially because I message so many people in a day, when someone comes in, I don't really, they messaged me about a Tisdale or whatever. But I'd say it's it's maybe 50-50?
Yeah, I'd say half the people that I talk to, we always ask like, oh, are you in our Facebook group? And half the people I talk to seem to say yes. So I'd say about 50 on Facebook group, and then listings. And then I guess maybe 45, and then 10% of just people word of mouth.
Got it. Referrals, foot traffic, like maybe they find do you have a Google My Business profile? Maybe they're finding on Google.
Yeah,
and
a couple. They're definitely slower than Facebook, but we've had a few people just come in off of Google.
And that kind of reminds me, what I've noticed, we built our new staging area and I 3D printed a sign, CNC furniture, and it's fairly large, so you can see it in every photo that we list. And since we've been posting a lot more with that new staging area, I've been getting usually a call or 2 a day just from someone who, I'm assuming they look at the photo on Marketplace, they Google CNC furniture and just call the number, which it's my number's on there. And which is great because then they know we're a legit business. I can answer any questions they have and then also tell them like, hey, yeah, you guys are welcome to come by and look at this. I have this in stock, whatever. But it's been getting just marketing our business on Marketplace itself. One, when you go to Marketplace, you see, I don't know, between both of us, we probably have 50, 60 listings at a time. So it's like every other couch is our couch, and then so it kind of draws people's attention, I think, at least,
Mm-hmm. Well, Marketplace is the thing that feeds us and punishes us at the same time, right? Like so many couch flippers have built their business off the back of Facebook Marketplace, but whether or not it's going to work for your business kind of ebbs and flows. And when things are bad, people are very quick to throw criticism at Facebook Marketplace. Oh, it's like the algorithm shadow banning, fuck Facebook. But at the same time, it's like this industry would not exist. I would not be here. You guys would not be here if Facebook Marketplace didn't exist and hadn't created this opportunity to connect your business at a very low cost to an audience of interested consumers. And there are very few things in business where you can get in front of the relevant people without a high cost attached to it. Attention is an extremely valuable commodity in today's modern economy. So normally, if you want to get in front of those customers, you got to like have real estate in the prime area of town where there's a lot of foot traffic. You got to be on Google, pay for Google's paid ads, or do Google organic search, Facebook advertising as well. And on Marketplace, a lot of us were able to just kind of shortcut the system, put up listings, get tons of views, get tons of eyeballs without having to pay on a per listing basis or pay for advertising. So the strategy, it sounds like for you guys, has been to get most of your visibility originally through Facebook Marketplace. Some of that is going to convert into people that are actually interested in buying the couch, walking in, or maybe even giving you a call. And for other people, if they don't have the appetite for that specific item, you're funneling them into your drop group. And then from there, you have more of a basis for interaction. Do you know roughly how many views you're getting, maybe across platforms or just in general on a given week?
For listings, it's hard to say. I don't really really keep track of listing views too much. I mainly keep track of just the views on my Facebook group posts. So I don't have an exact number. Obviously some hit the algorithm, you get a bunch of clicks. Some, are a little slow for just some random reason. Rugs though, they always hit the algorithm. I know my first rug post got like 6,000-7,000 clicks, and still I just keep running it because, just like, why not? But yeah, I couldn't quite say exactly for couches.
On the Facebook group videos, it seems to be between that 600 and 1,000 range, because it's usually you post on Thursday, and then I'd say by Monday, it's in that usually close to 1,000, or if not above it.
It's usually my actual drops of couches are usually, that 600 to I'd say 900 view. But then when I do a video or a photo of the entire warehouse, that's when it's usually between 1,000 and 1,800 views for that. So that's why I've been doing a lot more videos and a lot more posts of the actual warehouse. And then it also gets people interested, gets them commenting, asking more questions, which I feel like helps the algorithm of everything too. And just more people interested in it, with like not just a set drop. I'll message you if you want more info sort of thing,
Got it. And so these are ways in which you would increase engagement within your drop groups.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, he takes really good videos and pictures of just kind of walking through it, and those seems to boost foot traffic a lot, and especially just because it shows how many different options that we have available for people. So it's they can just come and shop around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the sales that you make, if we were to simplify it, really comes down to traffic, or the top of funnel volume that you're getting, times your conversion rate. And so it sounds like you guys, between the number of listings that you have up, the word of mouth, and then the visibility in your Facebook group, that's where the top of funnel is getting built. But you also have something unique about your business when it comes down to getting people to convert. And this is where I think you guys are doing a really, really good job understanding consumer psychology. Now, there are two things that I think are unique about the used couches, return couches as a business model compared to, buying a new couch from Ashley Furniture, for example. The first is instant gratification. If you buy online from Ashley, or you walk into their showroom and they pull out the tablet and they have you put in an order, it's going to be 2 to 4 weeks before that couch gets to you. Whereas with used couches, it's in your physical warehouse and you can deliver it to that customer today. So that's the first. And then second is fear of loss. The fact that the items that you have in inventory, they're one of one. There's, other models, but like you could have like multiple Thomasville Tisdales, right? But if they miss the opportunity to buy the specific couch that is in your warehouse in that moment because someone else got it, then they're going to have to wait for a different one to come in. It's not like, there are 500 of these couches brand new in box sitting in a warehouse somewhere waiting to be shipped. And when you guys talk about your sales tactics, whether it's the drop group or the strategies that you have when customers come into your physical location, what's clear to me is that you just have a very intuitive understanding of this part of consumer psychology. So maybe you could explain that a little bit more. How do you guys use urgency or try to motivate your buyers to get into sort of a feeding frenzy?
I would say, for me at least, there's not like a specific tactic that I do. I'm never too salesy. You don't want to act desperate or nothing. I do an individual post for every couch sold. And it's hard because some couches sell really fast. They don't even get a chance to get to the group. But every couch I put in the group that's sold, I do individual post for it, which also, it's hard. Like with usual Facebook groups, you got multiple people posting in there. And so there's a lot of traction. There's a lot of people commenting, throwing photos, when it's just, I don't want anyone posting in my group. And so I'm trying to put as many posts as possible. So at least, number one, you're showing that, we're selling fast.
You got to explain individual sold posts when we sell it.
Yeah. It's an individual post of the couch with sold written on it. And I do an individual post pretty much, every sale. And so, that shows that, we're selling quick. I just dropped it, sold the next day. It's also nice just because it's just more posts I can get into people's feed. If they miss a drop, and they see that this one's sold, it's like, wow, these guys, they got good prices, good furniture. And just the more you can get into their feed, the more you can post in the group, the more you can tag everyone, I feel like really helps and keeps people engaged too. So they're not just in just kind of a group that, had 0 posts a day,
So I want to unpack this a little bit more because I think there's more to it that you guys aren't giving yourselves credit for. But let's just walk through the weekly operational process then. So is there like a day which you typically get your deliveries?
Not necessarily, but I feel like just another point that I was kind of thinking of allows for that urgency is our limited open hours. And so with us, we just added Friday to the list because lately we haven't been open, but we just have people coming by even during the weekdays, but we're always here. So it's not a big deal, but we do hype up our weekends because we're like open 5 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. It's a small window and it funnels people in and then we have like usually Saturday morning, that first hour of the day is just constant. Like we usually have 5-10 people in the store at a time. And then what I like about that is when people are looking at individual couches when there's only one of them and someone else, people pull the trigger faster because they see other people shopping. When someone walks away from a couch they like to go look at another one, and then someone else goes and looks at that couch,
they pull out their credit card quick.
That person pulls out their card quick. And then the other part of it is some of them we do have duplicates of, which if people ask what's on the pallets, we just sell them as like mostly duplicates because it is, but we don't tell them what exactly. So we'll sell like, say a Tisdale, we got like 5 of them. We'll sell a couple Tisdales in a day, but we don't necessarily advertise like, hey, we got 5 of these. It's just like basically come in, buy the couch. We make sure if we sell 3 in that day, we make sure we have 3 zipper back Tisdales in good condition, so we don't sell a good one and then someone gets one that's has some wear or whatever. So that's what we have to be careful of. But that urgency of limited open hours I think is huge because it funnels people in around the same time and allows people to pull the trigger faster.
Yeah, and especially it helps with the group too, because obviously, we're getting usually, we have duplicates, but they're usually, like the Tisdales, some other ones that we get in frequently. But a lot of them, we get in and we might not get in again. And people kind of understand that being in the group. And so if I post a couch that, let's say, some person just absolutely loves and wants, they know that they have to go in this coming weekend to get that couch. And that's where I do my best couches in the drop. I always do like Thursday, Friday. So it creates that urgency I was talking about. It's like, oh, if I want that couch, I have to go in on Saturday to get it. And then just getting people in the door is the biggest thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So let me understand. So let's say you get a truckload and it's on Sunday or Monday, right? And you have all this new inventory. And what is the process for so let's say you get a truckload on Sunday, you're sifting through the truck and you're taking them all out, you're inspecting them, you're taking photos. Do all of the couches get listed? Do all of the couches get dropped? Do all of the couches make it onto the showroom? Is it like in a sequential order? Explain some of the decision-making around that.
Yeah, so a lot lately we've been getting so many truckloads in, so we'll have a few duplicates of common styles that we get in a lot. So if we have any duplicates, basically we line that up in like our row of duplicates in the back of the building. And then anything from there, our trucks usually come Monday, but sometimes we'll still have them come Tuesday through Friday. It just depends. But basically we don't really have a specific order. We kind of go off of, if it looks like it's easy to, like minimal cleaning, easy to list, we'll usually go with those first. So we can just get them cleaned, listed, and throw them in the display area. And then from there, it's just kind of going through the rest of them that we don't already have on display to make sure that we get pictures, if we need pictures, get them cleaned and get them in our warehouse display area just before we're open on Friday, ideally, now that we just added Friday, but at least at a minimum, get everything out by Saturday.
Yeah, just trying to get as much on display as fast as possible, especially before the weekend is the biggest thing too. We don't really worry about duplicates until one of them sells on the floor, because it's like, all right, we already got one on display. We want as much on display as possible. Let's grab one that we don't already have and work on that one first before we get into, maybe some of the other duplicates that, we don't need to have 2 of the same couch on display at once.
So you're looking for as much unique inventory on the showroom floor at all times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
And the duplicates stay in the pallets or hidden until it's time to process them, bring it out onto the floor.
Yep. Exactly.
So once you get the truckload, everything that's unique that is not already listed gets listed. And then how do you decide out of that what you're dropping like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Usually I'll take, Monday, Tuesday, rarely do drops on Monday. Sometimes if we just have a bunch of inventory, but usually I'll try to do some of our maybe a couch that I think might take a little longer, or maybe has a rip that we had to sew. So, I'll usually do those ones kind of earlier in the week. Maybe some of the couches that I would consider like an ugly one, I would try to do those at the beginning of the week, and then hopefully it'd sell before the weekend. That'd be awesome. But I kind of delegate those to the beginning, and then when we get closer into Thursday and Friday, that's where all of our best couches are really fast selling ones that people are really interested in. I do those those, Thursday and Friday, because I want multiple people to come in store for the same couch in a sense. And so if I do the drop on Thursday and I got multiple people, raging over this couch, we're going to have multiple people come in on Saturday. Yeah, maybe one person gets it, but the others are still in store, probably going to buy something else. And so, I feel like it kind of creates the hype on, having the best ones at the end of the week dropped. And then the people also knowing I got to go in on Saturday if I want this couch. That's why we've gotten into place, situations before we'll have lines out the door and stuff. But that's kind of how I kind of run it.
Really interesting. So when you drop the couches in your group, my assumption initially was that people are just buying the couches outright. Like, they wait for a drop, they're talking with you on Facebook Messenger and they're like, okay, I want this. I'm going to put a deposit or deliver it to my house. But it sounds like what's happening more frequently is that's where you're kind of cultivating the interest, and then you're getting them to come into the store, and that's where you're closing the sale.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah, we still will have those sales. I've done a drop, someone calls us a few minutes later, they're like, hey, I want this, can we have it delivered? And we'll still do that. But a lot of people, they do want to come in store and everything like that. And so I want to get as many people in store as possible.
Yeah. When did that, I imagine this was a shift that happened in the business, because before you're primarily just transacting online, but now it's like it's Saturday is payday, right? So like, when did that start to happen in your business? Was it something you thought about, or just like organically kind of transformed into this?
I would say in our old building, actually, it was really kind of when we started introducing having open hours. It's kind of we were like, okay, well, let's just try being open on the weekend. And I would say the first 2 or 3 months at least, we'd have it'd be so slow. Like, we'd have 1 or 2 people come in on the weekend, and then that was at the time where we hadn't had our group build up. We didn't have as much inventory, and so it was super boring doing open hours as well. It's like, it sucks just sitting there all day and you got one customer that comes in. But we just stuck with it and consistently did the same thing, but adding more inventory, adding more things like videos, pictures, showing that we have other inventory, showing that we're an actual store. And then from there, it's just slowly snowballed effect since, because we've got people coming in we have so many people coming in that it's just, it keeps our weekends really busy. It just snowballed effect, and we just had to stick with it because it was just so slow and frustrating at first, but it was absolutely worth continuing it.
Very interesting. So the drop group, as opposed to being primarily its own sales channel, has turned into a feeder system for the open hours on the weekends in particular.
Yeah, because once someone's in our group, it's like we got them in, it's like they're going to get tagged on about everything that we post. And so we're always in their feed, and we don't want to be annoying, but if someone's in our group, that means they're searching for a couch, and they're ideally buy it through us, obviously. But it's just, we're staying top of mind too. It's like we're posting every day to it, showing what we have, so people keep an eye on the drops. And then we hype up our weekends, because we'll post maybe 10 couches. How many? Well, if you do 4 at a time, so 4, 8.
It kind of depends. Sometimes I usually try to do drops of 4. Sometimes I'll do drops of 3, drops of 5, but usually no more than 5, usually no less than 3. But just as much as I can get in the group before open hours, so people kind of get a good feel of all the inventory we have available at the moment.
But my other point to that was that maybe we'll post 15 to 20 couches, like individual pictures of them, in the group a week, but then we still do our video and our picture of the whole warehouse to show that we have another, what I don't usually have, I think we have probably 80 to 100 couches right now, some of which are duplicates, but on display maybe we have 60 couches. So it's like those people who didn't find anything in the drop that they like, a lot of them still will come in and shop at everything else that we have.
And I kind of like the videos too, because I feel like it gives people just enough info to get interested in it and want to come in store, but not enough to where it's just they have all the info in front of them and there's no reason to come in store anymore. That's what I've even started to get a lot of people, they'll screenshot my video and put that in the comments, like, oh, how much is this one? And then, I give them the listing and stuff. But just another aspect of doing the videos that I've really started to like. And they get a ton of views too. I think my last video probably got like 1,800 views, and we're at like 2,800 in our Facebook group. So to me, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then we ran a video ad the other day that I think it's up to like 3, maybe 4,000 views now. Last time I looked, it was like 3 point something, but so we've been trying to incorporate other ads too outside of our Facebook group.
Most flippers just list items and hope for sales. But over the years, you guys have done a great job of taking the free attention from Facebook Marketplace and developing a very complex funnel that combines online and offline channels to a culmination point in your physical storefront. It's really impressive what you've done. So what percentage of your sales do you think happen in person now versus through online transactions?
Yeah, that's what I would have said too.
Yeah.
Yep. We like it. I think it's easier when people come in a store because one, they can see it. They know for sure what they're buying. And then two, they see that we're a store. So we charge sales tax, we charge delivery, we charge couch removal fees if they want us to remove their couch. We want them to shop for our rugs. We want them to shop for our recliners. So it's like, we want them in our store because we have so much more to offer that rather than if someone just like, hey, I want this delivered. And then the other part of it's like people on Marketplace, if they want it straight up delivered, we still charge them sales tax and stuff, but sometimes that'll defer people. But when they're in store, they come up to check out for a couch. I'm like, okay, here's your total tax. We tell people the delivery fee, of course, but we tell them, okay, here's your total, here's the couch, here's the delivery, and here's the tax. And they're already committed at that point. So I've never had someone say, oh, I don't want to buy this because of the tax. But
right. I mean, it's like they're already there, right? They've already
they got their card out. They're ready to pay.
At that point.
They're already there. It's like, are you really going to let 6% stop me? So, sometimes giving people smaller steps to take into your universe, making a little bit of a smaller commitment each step helps ease people into that decision as opposed to kind of putting it all at once in front of them. And so, what you guys are doing is maximizing the attention that you're getting and optimizing your conversions. Now, one question I have is, have you done anything to design your showroom to maximize sales? Is there like a flow for how people enter the showroom, what inventory they're seeing, how the space is organized to try and sequester people in one area or point them to certain inventory? I know you just, it's kind of new for you still, but I'm sure you've had some ideas on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We actually started putting some of the rugs down. We're probably going to start filling. We have half the warehouse, with rugs, just kind of stations that we put our couches on. And then we always put usually our best sellers, like our Tisdales, our Showrooms, all of that is usually right at the front. It's got a nice rug under it. So when people come in, they see our best sellers right away. And it's usually the ones we have duplicates of too. And it just, when you walk in, we still have a few things to do. We're, considering painting the floors, making it just a little bit less of a grimy warehouse and more of an actual furniture store. And so that's kind of just where we started, just throwing a rug down, having our best ones on display. So when they walk in, it's like, wow, we got these nice couches over here. And then, maybe our kind of, our cheaper ones are the ones, remove and then resell. That's kind of a section. We call it our clearance section in the back of the warehouse. We don't want those ones that right as people walk in. So yeah, we do. And we're starting to do a little bit more. We want to add some vines and just touch it up a little bit, but still working on that.
Okay, cool. So now I want to pivot the conversation over to B-stock and just buying wholesale. So one of the big transitions that we see happening in the flipping world is people are moving off of Marketplace, for acquisitions, and they're finding other channels to get inventory from. And to me, I think this is actually one of the most important things a flipper can do to take their business to the next level. I think there's just a ceiling for an individual couch flipper. It's probably around 30 flips a month if you're doing all your acquisitions on Facebook Marketplace. So, for someone who's starting from zero or has no experience buying from liquidators, what are some opportunities for them to start buying these loads? And what are some of the, challenges of dealing with bulk inventory from liquidators?
I would say one of the challenges is always space. And I think being particular about the space you choose is necessary if you want to buy in bulk, because in our old building, it wasn't perfect, but it was the next step that allowed us the space to do what we need and actually buy in bulk. So starting with the space, it's got to be open area, because if you're doing couches, they take up a ton of space. And so the challenge of just finding the right space is difficult. And if you can find the right space with a loading dock, that's huge, because we went from taking basically a full day to get a truckload in our building to now it takes us 30 minutes to roll it off on our loading dock. So that's one of the things that if I were to go back to zero and make the jump, I think both of us would have looked at a space maybe a little bit out of our budget and our comfort zone, but it has a loading dock, because it's just such a huge time saver and just back saver as well. It sucks carrying couches through the door 10 at a time. And so I think that's one of the big challenges to overcome, is just finding the right space and also just finding the right inventory that you're comfortable with selling at whatever price point. It doesn't need to be B-stock, it doesn't need to be Costco, it could be whatever, but getting inventory in bulk is absolutely necessary to make the jump, because I don't want to go 5 times a day to go have to pick up a couch. We don't do any flips anymore more other than the ones we removed from people's house, because we just don't like, there's just so much more involved. You got to check the couch, inspect the couch, an extra trip. It's just
gotten more competition too.
More
Since when we
competition,
first started about 2 years ago, there's a lot more flippers in our area, and it's a lot harder to just get those absolute marketplace rippers.
But if you can find a route for inventory at wholesale, whatever cost and an amount, and then you have the space to work out of it, then just stick to what works. Even if it's not couches, I mean, it's like you could have a whole other liquidation setup just with small furniture items in a 2,000 square foot building that's gonna make good money. But I think just finding the right inventory that sells good for you and sells at a good pace, and then having the space to accommodate that inventory is just the two biggest things. It just, just being, methodical about knowing what exactly you're looking for. Like when we decided to make the jump to this bigger building, we had two things that we knew were necessary: the loading dock, and at least, I think our minimum was at least 6,000 square feet. We're so glad we went bigger than that, because we're already pushing the limits in this building. But yeah, so it's space is huge, and inventory, just finding what works.
And then another thing to touch up on that too is, if like, for say you're a new flipper's first bulk order, buy something that 100% is going to sell at whatever price. Have experience with selling that exact type of couch, that exact thing, because we got burned a little bit in our last building. There's a wholesaler, from Texas, had these Ashley couches. And, we thought they looked good, but we've never really exactly sold like exactly that. And, in the end, we didn't lose money on it. We about broke even, but it was just not a hassle. And it's just, if we would have just taken time and really thought about it and, just like, all right, we've sold these before, we know they're going to sell for this much. You got to be confident with that, or else, you could end up, spending a bunch of money on something that you barely get any return for. And we kind of learned our lesson on that one. And we're now, improving that with getting into our new stuff now. And so that's another thing to keep in the back of the mind too.
Look, a lot of these lessons are hindsight, right? So if you knew what you knew today, then I'm sure you would have made some of these decisions a lot faster with less reluctance, right? But
definitely,
yeah.
When you're looking forward, it's like, man, that's an expensive lease, right? It's a 3-year term. What if this happens? What if that happens? But it's good that you guys, it's great, honestly, that you guys are coming on the pod and sharing some of your experiences along the way for flippers that were in your position even like a year or two ago. So if you were to talk to a flipper who is wanting to step up their hustle into a real business, start buying wholesale, move into that bigger space, what's one piece of advice or encouragement that you'd give them?
I would just say pull the trigger and go for it. And I mean, that's easier said than done, but first find the opportunity for the inventory. That's the biggest thing, is because if you know you can buy truckloads of inventory that are going to sell well to you, maybe try a truckload of that inventory in your small space, in your storage unit, whatever. I mean, when we first did a B-stock load, we had it delivered to my house and threw it in the front yard and drove it over individually into storage units. It sucked, but we learned from that. Well, we learned, one, not to buy mixed condition, and then two, that they do actually sell. But I would say do that first test truckload at whatever stage you're at. And then from there, if you know that it sells, you're going to make money on it, then find the space to accommodate 5 of those truckloads, or even 3, whatever it may be. But I'd say, do the test on the inventory at the current space, even if it sucks. And then from there, just pull the trigger and find a place that's going to work and you're going to be happy to work in, and it's going to accommodate everything.
Amazing. And we're almost at our time here, gentlemen. Final question for you before we leave. What's next for the Stephenson Brothers? Expansion, more warehouses, more truckloads, e-commerce? Like, what's the future hold for you guys?
We are getting into new stuff. So we're going to do a large order of a new style we designed ourselves and having manufactured overseas. And we want to be able to sell those online and potentially do some wholesale stuff with that. So that's kind of our next big jump that we're doing with some other guys, and we're excited for. So it should be cool.
Very cool. And I'm going to be excited to hear about that journey. So keep me updated. Thank you so much for coming on the pod. You've taken everything I've heard about that works in flipping, drop groups, suppliers, showrooms, optimized it into well-oiled machine. So gentlemen, thank you for the next level insight. Hope to see you on another episode of the pod soon.
Definitely. Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks. Ciao.